Hi, I'm Victoria Bond, and welcome to Mum's Time to Shine, how to connect to your soul's purpose and pursue it without sacrificing quality time and connection with your family. Today we have Ellie Katz joining us. Hi Ellie, how are you today?
Hi, great. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. So Ellie is author of Hot Mess to Mindful Mum and Get the Most Out of Motherhood. And you also offer meditation, self-care, and mindful parenting coaching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I love the variety of things that I do. My whole goal is to make some of these bigger concepts like meditation and mindfulness that sometimes feel intimidating to people feel really accessible and relatable. And all I want is to teach people and have them say, I can do that. Oh, that's not as hard as I thought. And to understand that committing to one small act of self-care can lead to big results if you're consistent. So that's what I help people do. And I love it. I feel very blessed.
And I didn't even realize before I embarked on this journey after having children and stuff, that the kind of like the spiritual mindfulness went in with the parenting coaching. And it's not until I'm finding all of you amazing people that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually a thing. Because I thought parenting coaching, I didn't even know there was parenting coaching. I wish I knew that 2 years ago, honestly.
Well, you know what happened was a lot of my clients were moms. And I was really just started out, my whole journey started with meditation. So I really just started being a meditation teacher. But then a lot of my clients were moms and they all wanted to talk about their kids. Because you can't really, once you're a mom, you can't really separate those parts of you. You know, being a mom sort of infiltrates every aspect of your life. And I was like, all my moms want to talk about their kids. I want to get more tools to help them with this. So then I went and, did the coaching route and parenting coaching so that I had more tools to help the mom. So now I almost don't separate it. Like I was telling this to someone the other day. I'm like, when you come see me, I just give you all that I have. If, we might be doing some meditation, some self-care, some mindful parenting, it just all gels and flows. And I don't say like, we're only talking about this today. When you work with me, you just get everything I have. And I like that. We just roll with it.
Yeah, and that's actually similar to me because with my hair salon, what would actually happen is people were coming in and I'm saying, Luke, to my husband, I'm like, I don't know what's happening here. People are coming in and I'm doing healing on them and I'm giving them coaching on access consciousness or mindfulness or spirit or whatever. And they're leaving and going, oh, and thanks for the hair. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they're getting a great bargain because they're coming in and they're getting coaching on a ton of different things and they're leaving looking beautiful. And when you do what you
full service.
Yeah, it's like coming to a spa, spiritual spa. But when you do what you love, it is all incorporated. And when you're going with intuition, what happens is you're just giving what you need to give. So
Exactly. That's how I feel. Sometimes something will come out and I'm like, how did I even know to say that? Like I've never even taught that before, or that's never come up before. But I feel that divine guidance and, I think it just helps me come up with the right thing.
Yeah.
That and the training, the combination,
And trusting
Yes.
what you're doing. Because that's stepping away from that fear and that conditioned mind of the things that we've taken on and trusting. So what I love about your books, I love Hot Mess to Mindful Mum, the name of it.
Thank you.
Like, oh my gosh, how did you get that website? I want that website. That's amazing.
So what happened was originally my business was called A to Zen Meditation. And then my first book came out, Hot Mess to Mindful Mom. And it just had such a ring to it. And everyone loved it so much. And I loved it so much because I'm like, I'm the Hot Mess to Mindful Mom. So it just sort of became my whole brand because that is, I had my hot mess period of my life. And then I became the more mindful mom. And so the title is really my journey. Yeah. And that's what it is. So that has sort of just become my whole brand now, which is great.
Yeah, and I love it. And what I also love about your books is, I think, is it your mindful mess to Hot Mess to Mindful Mum that's got the 40?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you tell us a bit about that, the structure of the book?
Yes. Absolutely. So this is Hot Mess to Mindful Mom, and it has 40 tools for self-care. So obviously you can't do 40 things at one time. It's not meant for that. What I tell people is find one or two things in the book that really resonate with you that you want to start with and bring into your life. And then let that become a habit and let that become natural. And then you'll know when you're ready for one more. So the book is divided into 3 parts. Things I do every day, things I do as needed, and then attitude adjustments along the way that I learned. So here, like things that I do every day. So there's like meditation and mindfulness and creating a sacred space and cultivating gratitude and never stop learning and mindful eating and getting grounded and things like that. And then the as needed practices, there's an amazing tool called the stress gratitude list that I love. It's talking about how to get inspired, how to be intentional with your attention, things like that. And then the attitude adjustments are forgiveness is a really big one, how to truly forgive, how to get money issues under control. Those are my 2, like, my books are so personal. I share so many stories, but those are the 2 most vulnerable chapters where, like, the night before the book came out, I like started hyperventilating and I was like, oh my God, people are going to know this about me. People are going to read this and know like my deepest, darkest secrets. But it was so freeing because I was like, this is me. This is my authentic self. Take it or leave it. It felt so freeing to put it out there. I was like, I have nothing to hide. If like someone doesn't want to be my friend because my dad went to jail when I was 14, like, I don't want to be your friend then. You know, it's just like, it was so freeing to just not hide and not pretend and to just really be myself. And so all the tools are super helpful. It warms my heart, the emails that I get from people when they say, your book changed my life. That's everything. That's why I do this.
Yeah.
And then Get the Most Out of Motherhood is kind of the next phase. It's about bringing mindfulness to your family. So there are more things in here for self-care too, but there's a lot. Even though I talk about meditation in the first book, there's actually more instruction, like how to meditate in Get the Most Out of Motherhood, how to introduce meditation to your kids, how to get your kids to listen to you the first time you ask them to do something. Yeah, it's great. I have the best trick in there. How to deal with technology and setting boundaries for you and your kids, how to have parenting contracts with your kids so you can stop nagging about everything. There's so many tools how to connect with your kids and truly bond with them, and I give ideas about that. So it's really Hot Mess to Mindful Mom, even though it's for moms, it's really for everyone because everyone needs self-care. So I have men have read the book. People that don't have kids have read the book. It's really self-care. But Get the Most Out of Motherhood is really for parents. If you're not a mom, you're not going to want to read that one probably.
I love how in some of them it's like you're saying, you know, honor yourself, don't forget to play, bite-sized journaling, hand it off to the universe, mindful eating. Because if I had those tools a couple of years ago when I was a hot mess, I was just far out, like my body was literally shutting down and I couldn't cope. So I was having massive amounts of anxiety and fear, and I had to have a whole lot of coping mechanisms to get through the day. So I actually did a Facebook Live this morning and I was talking about how today I've had 2 hours sleep last night, but I don't have the anxiety. I know my body's tired, but I'm showing up and I'm committing to my life. But those those little things, like I had a smoothie this morning with a supplement that I know is going to help my body. Bite-sized journaling. You know, you sit there and you can write it down and you've got it out of your head. Honoring yourself. What do I require right now?
Absolutely.
Should I vacuum or should I go and meditate? So I've chosen to get a cleaner in today because my house is a complete mess. I'm very aware of that. But rather than exhausting myself to the maximum, I'm going to let someone else do it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be there for my kids. I'm going to be way nice. I'm not going to say, look, don't talk to me right now. I'm trying to meditate, which I've done in the past. Just leave me alone, go on the iPad. I'm going to be like, hi, kids, how are you? Because I've honored myself. So, you know, I don't know if that's what you're kind of...
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, we've all heard this. You can't pour from an empty cup, or put your seatbelt on, your oxygen mask on first before your kids, like on an airplane. But it's true. Unless you fill yourself up, even in just a few minutes a day, then you can't be the kind of mom you want to be, you know? And I look back to my hot mess phase and I wish I had these tools. And then when I started using them, I just had to teach them because they changed my life.
Yeah.
And the first one I brought into my life was meditation. It's really a cool story. It's in Hot Mess to Mindful Mom, but the universe pushed me into meditation. I didn't even know what meditation was or that there were benefits, but I listened to that guidance, and everyone that reads the book will hear this awesome story that of course begins with like spirit and all of that. So really fun and really cool. But once I started meditating for just 8 minutes a day, okay, that's it. And it could even be 5. All of a sudden, I had that ball of anxiety that lived, because I've dealt with anxiety my whole life too, that lived on my chest 24/7, that just a ball, like a brick that sat there. After 6 weeks, it was gone. And I was like, well, the only thing that's different is that I've been spending 8 minutes a day being quiet. That's literally the only thing I changed in my life. Yeah. And it made the biggest difference. So let me keep going. And then once I kept going, I noticed more changes, less reactive, more confidence, more patience. And I was like, this stuff really works. And then I started bringing more, you know, what happens if I start practicing more gratitude? And what happens if I journal for a couple minutes? And, you know, I just started listening to what my body and my soul needed. Yeah. And the thing that's amazing too, as parents, is we are modeling this for our kids. So our kids pay so much more attention to what we do than what we say. We want our kids to have these amazing habits. They're not going to have them if we just tell them to have them. Yeah. But if we show them, if we are meditating every day and making these things a normal part of a healthy lifestyle, then they're more apt to do it. You know, I remember the first time I saw my son, my older son, get stressed out and just pause and start taking deep breaths without me saying a word. The only reason he knew to do that is because he saw me do it like 500 times. So then he started doing it, you know, and it's just, they don't magically know. You have to show them, and showing is better than telling. Now, what I always told my kids, because a lot of moms say, well, how do I meditate when I have young kids, you know? And I had to train my kids. My kids were 4 and 6 when I started meditating. And in the very beginning, they used to interrupt me for every little thing. So like every little thing. And I finally said, all right, guys, listen, mommy needs this time so I can be a better mommy all day long. And they were like, oh, okay. And I said, and here's the thing, you can't talk to me unless it's an emergency. You know, if someone's bleeding or someone threw up or like you really, really need me. But if you want to like watch a different show on TV, I'm only going to be a few minutes. You need to wait. Like, don't interrupt me for something like that. However, and this is what I think really made it work, if you ever want to be with me, you can be with me. You can lay next to me. You can just lay quietly with me. You can even put your head on my lap if you want. That never bothered me. You can bring a book in and read. You can do whatever you want as long as it's quiet and as long as you're not talking to me. But if you want to be near me, you can. And many, many mornings they would come in and just sit quietly with me. And because I didn't exclude them from my practice, they never resented it. They never thought it was annoying or, you know, they never got upset. And they could see that I was being a better mommy all day long, just taking those couple minutes. So that really helped my family. And so I teach a lot of people about that.
That's awesome. And I, my kids know that I was forced into meditation because my body was shutting down. So every afternoon, I was definitely not feeding my body the nutrients it needed, living off coffee and wine and chocolate and bread. So at about 1 o'clock every morning, I'd feel my body shutting down and I'd be like, I've got to go lie down. So if I had like family over or friends from a different town, I would lie on the couch and I would shut my eyes and I wasn't asleep. So because I was having problems sleeping, I was a real mess. So what happened was I started putting in my earbuds and listening to these meditations because I had a couple of hours, as long as I had someone to look after my kids, and I would listen and then I'd start asking for stuff. So I'd be like, okay, show me what it is you want me to do, because why am I going through this? If I'm going through this, there must be a reason for it. I truly believe that I healed myself, but not only that, I downloaded a whole lot of information.
Wow.
And now I I teach meditation. I'm a coach. I teach law of attraction. I'm an access consciousness teacher, a Reiki practitioner, all within a couple of years, because it was so light. And I know that I went through that for a purpose. But I think the universe actually had to force me into meditating, because
that's what happened to me. The universe like gave me this push,
yeah,
but it changed my whole life. I mean, not only did it, help me to be a better Allie and a better mom, it turned into a passion and a career. So I don't know what my life would look like without it at this point.
Exactly.
It's just unbelievable how, just like you, I was set on that path. It's just amazing.
And I actually say thank you every single day for what I went through. When I look back to what I went through, I actually think, wow, Victoria, you're amazing. I don't even know how you lived through that. But on my Facebook Live today, I was actually saying, this is the first time I've had like no sleep for about a week. I haven't really had much sleep, and I don't have anxiety. I'm so excited about today. And I knew that I was talking to you, and I'm so excited about what today can bring and what great and glorious things I can create, even though I've had no sleep. It doesn't matter, because
that's giving you the energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So I was so stoked. I had to share that on Facebook.
That's awesome. I mean, truly, because it's also like we need it every day, but we're also filling up our reserves so that when you do have an off day, you can pull from that. You can use that stored energy and that stored calm to help you get through those hard days. So that's why consistency is so important, because it's not that you're never going to feel stress again or you're never going to have a bad day again. That's a misconception that people have, that once I start meditating, I'm just going to be calm 24/7. And, people say to me, oh, you teach meditation, your life must be so zen. And I'm like, no, I have the same stress as everyone else. And I do feel stress. I just recover from it so much quicker. So it's not that you never feel stress again, but something that would set you off for 2 hours or 2 days, maybe you can regroup after 2 minutes. You can say, oh, I have a tool for this, and come back to center. So that's the thing, is life is never going to stop. It's always going to be throwing stuff at us, but how do we respond to it? How fast can we recover from it? And I think that's really the key.
And what we can learn from it. Like, we're both so grateful I'm grateful for my body breaking down. I'm so grateful because I know that I live so much more consciously, and that my children's realities are going to be completely different, because I'm not trying to control them. I'm not trying to tell them how they need to live. I'm just the space for them to grow. I make sure they're safe, and that mindful parenting. I've got to say, I'm not perfect 24/7. I'm like, hurry up. I've got 2 Pisces children, and they are a little laid back. Well, actually, my son's not so laid back, but my daughter is like, oh yeah, mum. And she's off in her room, and I'm like, we're late for school, hurry up. But when it comes down to it, if they're having a tantrum or anything, I come down to their level. I come into their, I let them be, I have space, and I say, what's going on? I never say, you're being naughty, or that's it, you're in trouble, because why would they be so upset and having a tantrum on purpose? They're obviously in some type of pain as well.
Yeah. I know. And I think that goes for adults too, is that accepting that every emotion is okay. And I start working with kids around 10, and I talk to them about this all the time. Everything you feel is okay. We don't ever want to pretend that our feelings and our emotions aren't there, but not everything we do with it is okay. So everything you feel is okay, but how do you want to respond to it in a way that's okay? Because it's age appropriate to have tantrums at the age that your kids are, but when they get to be older, it's not age appropriate anymore. But those feelings are still there, and they're very real, but what are you going to do with it? And that goes for moms too. There's times we feel frustrated and overwhelmed and depleted. Are we going to have an adult temper tantrum? Or are we going to have the awareness to say, I need 10 minutes by myself to breathe and calm down, or I need to take a walk around the block, or I need, whatever it is for you, that's a healthy way to manage it instead of freaking out. So it's nothing changes without awareness. So we have to become aware of that, and then we can choose the path that feels right, that feels good. And the other thing is, we're not going to be perfect at it all the time. We can, no matter how much we practice, we'll be good almost all the time, but we are going to have off days. And that doesn't mean we're a failure. And that doesn't mean, I feel like sometimes we have those to remind ourselves of how important the tools are. Because once in a blue moon, I'll miss my meditation. I mean, really, it's very rare, but once in a blue moon, I will. And I find I'm snappier and I'm like, don't feel like myself. And I'm like, okay, this happened just to show me how important this is and I can't miss. So it's a reminder. So we just have to be aware of that sort of thing too.
And that can be, like I've said in the past, it can be like if gardening, one of my friends is an active relaxer. And when I've sent her meditations and said, look, this is a 3-minute meditation, please do it. And she just goes, yeah, I tried and that's really cool. It was a chakra one or whatever. But I know that getting out in the garden and her going hard outside grounds her, and that's her jam. That's what works for her.
Yeah.
For me, it's shutting my curtains, putting on my thing, putting on either having silence or a beautiful meditation and go, oh yeah. And zone out for 22 minutes. Then I get up and I'm like, right, and I've filled myself up. And I know I'll say to my husband, I just need 15 minutes. Can you please keep the kids out here? Guys, I'm just having a lie down and they'll be back with you. And they know. And that's because I've said to them, please leave mummy alone. I have to actually physically say that because I won't be long. And then we'll go jump on the tramp or we'll go to the beach or whatever it is. Because every time these mums are saying, oh, I'm too busy and there's this and that and everything else, and I'll say to my girlfriends, what is it that fills you up? Go out for dinner with a girlfriend, get on the phone, go meditate. Meditate, like I say, is always my go-to. But whatever it is for you that makes you happy, because otherwise you're going to be yelling at your kids.
And it's also different things feel better on different days too. So, I mean, listen, I think everyone should meditate every day, but so that's a sort of a blanket statement. But some days when you feel out of sorts, you need a walk in nature. And then some days you need to connect with a friend. So it's sort of letting your soul speak to you of what you need in that moment. And it can be different. But I tell people there's something in Hot Mess and Mindful Mom called a trigger plan. And sometimes in the moment, we can't even think, we're just, but switch has turned on to crazy. So I tell people, have a plan, know what 3 things bring you back to center so that you don't even have to think about it in the moment. You can say, okay, I'm gonna, for me, it's a quick 1-minute meditation. It's making a cup of tea and it's snuggling with my dogs. For me, animals, their presence and their joy transforms me in a minute. So that's I like getting outside, even if I'm stepping into my backyard for 2 minutes. That's my trigger plan. So I know whenever I feel out of sorts, one of those things will help. So I encourage people to think about what does make me feel good, and then there's of course things you can do when you have more time, like taking a hot bath or a longer meditation or some journaling. But what can you do quickly? And then what can you do if you have more time?
So important. So important. Because, when I wasn't doing any of those things, I was frantic. So my brain, it's nearly like I was fried, which is that hot mess thing. You're busy being busy. One of my girlfriends got on the phone and she said, I must have been in a bit of a state. I want you to drop everything. And I want you not to worry about your washing or your dishwasher or your disgusting floor. And what I want you to do is I want you to lie on the floor with those children for 10 minutes now. And I instantly went into this, but I don't have time because I've got the washing and this and this and this and this. But I did. I lay down. I ignored all my mess and what had to be done. And I was just there. And I hear her voice in my head every now and then and go, you know what? The washing can wait. The housework can wait, because having a present mum and having someone there who cuddles you and plays with you and tickles you and jumps on the tramp and is just there You know, even if you had 20 minutes of that a day of actual connection, it's going to completely transform your life. And they're going to remember that mum listened, mum was there, and mum was present, even if it's a short amount of time.
Absolutely. 100%. It really is quality over quantity. And that's what I tell people all the time. I'm on a mission. Like, put your phone down for 10 minutes in the other room and be with your kids, you know, and it'll fill you up. And it's so, so important. I remember, I tell this story in one of the books also, like, find times that you can say yes to your kids, because I think there's times we can't. There's times like we really do have to walk out the door, and they're really like, a younger sibling needs to be put to bed, or, you know, that happens. But I remember this one time when I was washing dishes, and I had like dish gloves on, and my arms are in this huge pot, and my little one walked up to me. He was probably like five or six, and with these like big eyes, he's like, "Mommy, will you play this game with me?" And I had this, like, you know, when a whole conversation can happen in your head in like a split second, you know? And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to do the dishes and I'm going to play the game. Does it really matter what I do first? Because, like, it was on the tip of my tongue to say, sure, sweetie, as soon as I'm done the dishes. And instead I said, you know what, sweetie? I'll do the dishes later. And I like turned off the water and took off my gloves, and he's like, oh my God, she said yes. And he knew he was more important to me than a pot. And, you know, we can't do it all the time, but when can you say yes? Look for those little pockets of time when something can wait, and you can, because you are filling your kids up and you're filling up yourself. And it feels so good for everybody. So it's nice to find those times.
That's a great reminder as well, because, you know, instantly I would have said when I'm finished. And what I had the awareness a couple of months ago when I was doing the dishes, and I was like, oh my goodness, like Adelaide kept going, can you please do something with me, Mum? And I said, yes, darling, just after I've done this. And then I was like, just after I do the vacuuming. That kid never got what she asked for. And I thought about it later on, and I went, oh, wow. And I made a mental note, and I said, next time she asks, drop what you're doing and just go do that, because 5 minutes is all she needed. 5 minutes to read that book, and then I've got another hour to do the cleaning. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I find, you know, a lot of us are getting into that state of mind of, no, we need to do this, 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 and this. But is that going to matter in 10 years that you didn't do the pot straight away? Well, actually, probably it will, because you made a story out of it and sold it in a book and helped thousands. But in a good way. So
I have learned to relax a little bit. Like, I realized when I was in my hot mess phase, I literally never sat down, ever. Never sat down. I was like, cleaning, doing dishes, chores, like everything had to be, and not that I want my house to be a disaster, because I certainly don't, but I have found a middle ground, because I want to sit down, and I want to, not only do I want to be with my kids, but sometimes I just want to sit down and read a book for an hour for myself, because like, that's okay too, you know? And so, no, my house doesn't look perfect 24/7, but I feel better. So I'm not recommending that everyone let their house go to pot. Like, that's not what I'm saying. We have to have boundaries, but I'm saying every once in a while, it's okay to pick you, and it's okay to pick your kids as much as you can.
And that's something I was teaching in one of my classes recently, was to go with the light and heavy and go, okay, what do I want to do now? And so, do I want to go for a walk, or do I want to lie down, or I need to vacuum my house? But you really want to meditate. And I always have that. I'm like, do I want to do housework? I've got 1 hour before I've got my full-on 3-year-old and my 5-year-old. And I'm like, no, I want to lie down. My son can help me vacuum later. So it's kind of actually asking my body what it requires as well. And my body was saying, you really want to lie down, because you might crash later. And it's about being gentle with ourselves as well.
I agree. And I have to get back to doing it, because I really loved it. But for a long time, I would schedule 2 hours every Friday before my kids came home from school for like me time. And it wasn't planned, and I could do whatever I wanted. So same thing. I'd be like, do I want to take a nap? Do I want to take a walk? Do I want to read? Do I want to go get a pedicure? Like, what do I want to do? And like, when do we have time to just say like, what feels good? What do I want to do? It was like a gift I gave to myself. Yeah. And I'm working on my third book right now. When it's done, I'm putting it back on the calendar. Until that book is done, I can't put anything else on my calendar. But
and it's about not feeling guilty about going out for lunch or spending money or, we do have a lot of conditioning around that. Your mum, so your job is this, this, and this. I said to my husband, I'm sorry, I haven't been able to do much housework because of what I'm creating at the moment. And he goes, I know, I understand. He's looking around the house going, oh my gosh. I was like, I'll get a cleaner tomorrow.
That is so funny. And you know what, something I wanted to say too, we were talking about it a couple minutes ago, was realizing the difference in filling yourself up with the positive stuff. Like when I was in my hot mess phase, I feel like I wasn't in touch with my needs and what felt good to me. So I was filling myself up with material things and gossip and just yuck stuff. Not that you shouldn't enjoy nice things, but I was using it to fill something where what I really needed to do was learn how to be me and feel comfortable being me and authentic and loving myself and accepting myself. But I wasn't doing that. So that was a really big shift. So a lot of that kind of fell away too. And it's amazing when you start transforming into the more mindful version of yourself, some things fall away. Things don't feel good anymore. Like I can't sit around and gossip with people like I used to. I just feel like I need to take a shower. So you start to fill yourself up with the right things, and then you don't need so much of the wrong things, which is really important, I think.
And I think you become less judgmental as well.
Absolutely. Of yourself and others. Yeah,
it's like it opens up this completely, what we were talking about before the interview actually, you open up to a completely different level. And you see more. It's nearly like you're being the observer of your life, and you can step back and see where things are coming from. Because you're a lot more open, like you're filled. So if you're happy and you're living in gratitude, judgment and gratitude do not coexist. So if you're living in that,
so and that is why I try to make my first thought in the morning. I literally, right before I'm going to open my eyes, when I know I'm awake, I try to make my very first thought, thank you.
Yeah.
Just thank you for another day. Thank you for another opportunity to be my best self today. Just whatever comes to mind. But I try to start my day with thank you.
Absolutely.
And I feel like it's a really nice habit.
And I was the perfect example of I used to wake up angry all the time. So basically my whole life, or my whole early 20s and, right until probably 30, I'd wake up angry. And my husband had to walk on eggshells because I just did. And I probably drank too much wine at night. And
you probably convinced yourself, like, I'm just not a morning person.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people say, I'm just not a morning person.
Yeah.
Well, you can't, you can, obviously that changed when your habits changed.
Yeah. So they can change. We can change our habits. It doesn't define us, our habits. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And again, it's doing one small thing. It's not trying to overhaul your entire life at one time, because that's not going to stick. Yeah. It's picking one thing and doing it consistently. And I always tell people, tools only work if you work them. Yeah. You can't meditate twice and then think your whole life's supposed to change. It takes time. If you start a gratitude practice, you need to do it every day for a while before you start to notice that you feel different. It's not like your whole life doesn't change in a week. You have to give the tools time to work. So pick one and be consistent.
Where can we find your books? Because this is like a mum's guide, you guys. So this is like, pick one tool, do it for a week, then pick another one, just, transforming. So where can we find
Absolutely. So you can find me on Amazon. Yeah. It's probably the easiest way internationally. They're at Barnes & Noble and some other stores in the U.S., but Amazon is just where I tell everybody to go, because who doesn't live for Amazon? It's like where my whole life comes from. Yeah. And then my website is hotmestomindfulmom.com. Mm-hmm. And I love Instagram. Instagram's my favorite. It's Hot Mess to Mindful Mom. And then I'm on Facebook. I have a great community on Facebook called Hot Mess to Mindful Mom Community. Yeah. And I also have a free gift that I'm going to share with everybody today. And this is so aligned with what we're talking about. I love it. Of course it is. That's the way the world works. But I created an intuition journal that I love to share with people. The whole story's in there, but basically I ignored my intuition for most of my life. I feel like a lot of my life was just basically one bad choice because I didn't connect to my intuition. So this became, a couple of years ago, I just became done with it. And I just noticed that I was really ignoring some big red flags. So I started this, I called it the Intuition Journal Experiment. And for 30 days, I kept track of every intuitive hit that I got and what happened when I listened and what happened when I didn't. And it was the most eye-opening experience. It helped me learn to trust myself, to not ignore any of those intuitive hits, no matter how big or how small, no matter what they were about, they were always, always right. And in the journal, most of the journal was not listening to them and then keeping track of what happened. So I tell some of the stories in it, and it's pretty funny.
Oh, awesome.
And then, so I wanted other people to be able to have the same experience of keeping track for 30 days. So I created a printable, like PDF intuition journal that gives information in the front about your intuition and what it means and how to tap in. And then it has a journal for you to keep track yourself.
Wow. Thank you so much. And we're going to have the links to all the different ways we can contact you and to the free gift. So, yeah. You guys check out Ellie Katz's books and her Facebook pages and Instagram. And like you say, you've got a community and you're here to support and give and
really connect. That's my whole goal, is just true connection with other women. So I love it.
Beautiful. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And you guys make sure you tune in for tomorrow. For our next interview, and yeah, we're looking forward to seeing more from you and looking forward to your third book coming out.
Thank you. Yes, it comes out in November, so that will be exciting.
Yeah, and guys, when you've done the intuition journal, this is a free intuition journal, so I mean, seriously, jump straight on that. What you can do is put on Ellie's Facebook page how you're going or how you've found it, so give her a little bit of feedback to see how.
Yes, and absolutely, when you sign up for it, I will send you like 2 emails kind of checking on you, like how's it going, and please feel free to reply to those. I love getting the replies and hearing how it's going from
so this is a great support and really about listening to ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ellie. Enjoy your beautiful summer over there, and
thank you.
I'll go rug up by the fire. So, thanks so much. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.